What's going on, gang? Chavio here, and I'm going to give you guys all the information you need to make the very most out of your silver pass. Let's face it, a lot of us paid a pretty high price for our passes to get into this game so we could have access to the higher drop rates for NFTs. Now, in order for you to get the most NFTs possible, there's a few things that you need to know about the game. Let's jump straight into it. So on my first day playing big time, I only earned one NFT, and we played for 12 hours. On my second day, I earned 0 NFTs, and we played for 12 hours. On my third day, we played for another 12 hours, and I was able to earn 2 NFTs. At this point, I had played for 36 hours. I had earned an average of 1 NFT per day. So I was having a terrible rate, 1 NFT every 12 hours. And then we pieced together all the information that our guild had been able to get, 3DGG all the way. And day 4, I was able to get 15 NFTs in one 12-hour session. So there was definitely a learning curve to getting started, and my goal is to help you guys all be able to skip that phase entirely and get right to earning NFTs day 1 so you don't waste any of your valuable time. Okay, when you first start the game, this is the screen you're going to get. You're going to hit jump in. They're going to ask you to pick one of your starting classes. It does not matter which one you pick because as soon as you get into the game, you can immediately change it. So don't worry about which one of these you pick. You are not committed to this at all. In all reality, the pocket watch you get that they give you is not a very good one. So when you start to level it, very quickly you'll find a better pocket watch and you'll dump this one. So really not a big choice to be made here. Pick whichever one you're most comfortable with, and I recommend trying them all. There's actually a tower in the game that I can show you that will allow you to pick up the other 3 that you don't choose right here. So you've loaded the game up, you're ready to get started, and you're ready to jump right in. The very first thing you're going to realize is when you start the game, you're going to be in an open world area. No enemies here, really. So you need to go find the dungeons. When you start off, there's going to be a small town here. At this little town, you can do things like buy your starter gear and change your pocket watch. Now, if you don't know about pocket watches, check out my other YouTube videos. I'll leave the link down below for you guys because the pocket watches are essentially how you have a character in this game. When you pick a class, you actually have to pick a pocket watch for that class, and then that is how you'll actually be playing the game. So if you want to be a warrior, you get a warrior pocket watch and you level up that pocket watch specifically. You can come to this tower right here that I just showed you guys how to get to, and you'll notice there are 4 guys around the base of the tower, 1 for each of the classes in the game, and you can ask these guys and they will go ahead and give you the Chronomancer gear, the Shadow Blade gear, the Quantum Fixer gear, or the warrior. So those are next thing, once you got your character all geared out, you're going to see these little portals on the map. You want to go ahead and jump in these portals. All right, so here we are. We found a dungeon called the Insect Main Hive, level 1 through 5. And there you can see there's a timer on it. So this one's got plenty of time. Let's hop in. When you load into the dungeon, they're going to give you some missions. You'll see those in the upper right-hand corner. It says eliminate 5 lieutenants. Lieutenants are going to be enemies that belong in this board, but they're just going to be like slightly bigger stats. Pretty easy mission to accomplish. Now, any enemy in the game has the potential to drop an NFT for you. However, we've noticed that there are certain enemies that have much higher drop rates than others. So just kind of as a principle, a lot of times we will not fight every enemy that we see, but we will go for those ones that have special drop rates. Now, this guy has a red arrow over top of him. That means he's one of the mission objectives. So we can go ahead and kill those. And you see now I have 2 of 5 completed. So we'll go ahead and get the rest of these 5 done, and then we'll skip on to the next part of the mission. Okay, now we've finished the mission, and we've gotten a second mission. Now this one says, go and destroy 2 wanderers. Now wanderers are going to be enemy types that actually belong on a different board, but they've wandered into this one. That's good because some of the enemies that have the highest drop rates are wanderers. Like I said, a lot of times they'll end up being one of 2 enemy types that is a high drop rate, being the tank bug and another one called the mega clock. That was one of the wanderers. He does not have really a high drop rate, so that was unfortunate, but we'll see if the next one does. Again, I'm skipping all these enemies because I could kill them for levels, but I'm not trying to level my character right now. I think there's a big difference between trying to farm for XP and leveling your character and then trying to farm for NFTs. Trying to farm for NFTs, you're trying to go as fast as you can, not kill everything, and really just get to the enemies that have that higher drop rate. When you're trying to farm XP, you're going to want to kill anything that has a higher level than your character does because that's what's going to allow you to have quite a bit more XP in a much shorter period of time. So that's just much more efficient gameplay. You'll notice that these objectives tend to be kind of far away. So I always recommend playing in larger parties. I'm playing by myself now for the sake of the video, but when I play the game, I play with a group of 5 people. All right, now there is a Wanderer here, and it's one of my favorite types of enemies. The Wanderer is on the left. That enemy does not belong in this biome. But since we had Wanderer missions, he's here. So you can even see it says it on his name, Fred the Wanderer. So let's go ahead and kill him. This guy has a very high drop rate for NFTs. He's one of the best that we found. Don't get me wrong, I've killed hundreds of these things and seen no NFT fall, but then we've killed 3 in a row and watched 3 NFTs fall. So I would say for us, we've kind of proven to ourselves that these guys have a higher drop rate. So we always like killing these guys. They're a great loot drop for us a lot of times. Let's see if we can get one. So nothing here. And fortunately, there is another enemy here that has a really high drop rate. This guy's known as the tank bug. So really, that guy's called a mega clock, and that guy's called a tank bug. Those are the #1 NFT droppers from our experience so far. That being said, the devs could always rebalance things and could change things. So doesn't mean that they'll always be the enemies that have the highest drop rates. It's just what we've seen happening so far. That's what we tend to search for in games right now are tank bugs and mega clocks. But again, we have definitely seen, some days it works, some days it doesn't. So take it with a grain of salt. Let's go ahead and get to the boss room. The boss room normally has a couple more opportunities to have mobs that have high level drops as well. All right, so we've made it to the boss door. You're going to run up here in this little circle. It'll unlock it for you, and then you'll head on in. Now, in here, there'll be enemies you have to kill to complete the mission, but there also may be enemies that have a higher chance of dropping, like those tank bugs I mentioned. So you're definitely going to want to head around and check and see where the enemies are going to be before you just decide to go ahead and end the objective. So nothing here, so I'm not going to bother with those guys. If we're hunting NFTs, I don't need to bother with them. Now, that being said, I do still recommend leveling your character, because if you don't level your character up, you'll be stuck in the lower level dungeons, and we've seen that higher level NFTs drop from higher level dungeons. So you're definitely going to want to eventually be able to get to the higher level dungeons, simply because there's a better chance of you getting, a rare or an epic NFT. If you're always playing the lowest level dungeons with the easiest enemies to kill, then the odds of you pulling those higher tier ones are pretty low. That being said, I did see people pull legendaries in low level dungeons. So it seems like there's really no true rules, but there are some consistencies that we've seen just through pure data. At this point, when I'm making this video, we've been playing Gold Pass for about 2 weeks. I've managed to farm out 86 NFTs, 4 of them on legendary, and then a handful of epics and rares, and then a bunch of uncommon NFTs from the lower level dungeons in the first couple days. So we've had some pretty profitable days. The passes seem to be worth it depending on what the NFTs, whatever happens with the value of them. It seems like there's a great chance that we may be able to earn our money back on that, but that's yet to be seen. So see, these guys don't have the red arrow, so they're not one of the targets that I have to kill. But you can see I only have 1 marked target if you look in the upper hand corner. So in other words, if I go and kill him, all these enemies will disappear and I won't get a chance to kill them. Now, being that they have the highest chance for dropping NFT, you really want to try to go around and kill all these guys before you bother to finish the level off. Finishing the level off does have an NFT drop rate as well, because we have seen NFTs drop when you finish a mission. So it seems there's a good chance. So I do recommend finishing the missions and playing them completely, but I don't recommend finishing them fast, because then you're going to skip all the opportunities to kill these larger enemies. So that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to run through here and I'm going to kill all these bigger guys because these are, like I said, these are what we have seen have a higher NFT drop rate than any of the other enemies in boards. Again, we've even seen little enemies like these ones here drop. So if you want to kill everything, if it's a board where you can gain good XP, then you may want to kill the majority of the enemies. If it's a board where the enemies are far below your level and you're not gaining any NXP, then you're probably not going to want to stay in there killing low-level enemies, because there's not a great chance for them to drop an NFT, and you're not getting any experience while you do it. All right, we've checked around the whole area. There doesn't seem to be anything up here. So now we can go down into the middle and finish off the enemy in the middle, and it looks like this is where our objective is going to be. There he is right there, a yellow pirate captain. Let's finish off this last tank bug, and then we'll go and we'll finish up the mission. So it doesn't look like we're going to get an NFT on this round, but that's the deal. You're going to have to play, quite a few rounds. I I would say on average, we're probably getting an NFT an hour in the gold pass, maybe an NFT every 2 hours sometimes if you're a little unlucky. But that's kind of, that's the whole run, and at that point, it's just rinse, wash, and repeat. Now, outside of the dungeons, there's a little bit you can do as well to try to hedge your bets. There's a few types of missions that we specifically try, so let's go out there and take a look. All right, now that you know a little bit about dungeons, I want to teach you about the open world area and how you can use that to increase your NFT drops. So I always tell everybody the best thing you can do and play in groups of 5. If you looked at that last mission I played, when there was a captain for me to kill at the end, there was a yellow pirate captain. There was only one. Now, if I had been playing with 3 people, it would have increased to 2 yellow captains. Now, if I had been playing with 5 people, it would have increased to 3. So those are kind of like the boundaries. When you play with 1 to 2, you get one main boss. When you play with 2 to 3, 3 to 4, you're going to get 2 main bosses, and when you play with 5 and 6, you're going to end up getting 3 main bosses. So the more people you play with, not only can you do the missions quicker, but you can get more chances for those higher NFT dropping mobs. So I definitely suggest partying up with groups of people. Now, if you don't have a group to play with, I always suggest joining a guild. I'm in 3DGG. If you want, we'll put the link down below, and you guys can feel free to join that one and find lots of people to play the game with. If you're more of an organic player, you want to come in, you kind of want to meet people in the environment, this is the place to do it. So I'm going to show you the different parts of the map, and we're going to start with Watertown. This is where everybody spawns, and this is probably the best place if you're looking for groups to kind of hang out. You can hit the P button, it'll bring up a party menu. You can actually say you're looking for a group, and it'll show you people that are hanging out in your area. So I can see there's 2 different people here that I could play with. I can even see their levels to see if I want to put them on my team. We're going to be a good match. You can also hit the enter button, and you'll see you have a zone, a global, and a damage. So these are different chats you can put on your screen, so that way you can see if there's people you want to talk to and ask people, LFG in this area, I'm this level, I'm looking for these dungeons. So definitely start off at Watertown if you're looking for a group, best place to be. So just up the hill from Watertown, you'll find a way to wipe your player data if you want to restart your account. I do not recommend doing that. And here's another way where you can actually respect your account for 1,000 gold. Very easy to do. 1,000 gold you get like 1 dungeon, no problem. So very, very cheap if you want to respect your characters. And then right above us is going to be the tower where you can get all of your starter gear. The next area you're going to see directly to the south is going to be the forest area. This is the beginner area. When you're just starting the game, these dungeons are going to be like typically levels 1 through 10. A great place to start. Get your feet wet, get the character all leveled up, get some starter gear, and get moving. Now, the gear here, the way the gear works in the game, as of right now, we've seen tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, gear drops like a tier 1 gear is going to drop between 0 and 10. 11 and 20 is going to be your tier 2, all the way up to if you want the best gear in the game, tier 6, you're going to have to kill an enemy from level 51 or higher. As of now, the only dungeons we've seen are up to level 52, so you can get tier 6 gear. It's just kind of rare at this moment. So one thing that I always recommend all players do is if you can try to get a high tier pocket watch early on so you can avoid leveling a low tier pocket watch, because the higher tier pocket watches are much better. This may change in the future. You may be able to upgrade the tier of your pocket watches once forges come into the game, but at this time, there's no way to do that. So I often recommend when you're playing the game, go ahead and try to get a high tier pocket watch from a friend or from another player, or get yourself and drag yourself through one of those dungeons. See if you can kill a couple enemies. If there's 6 of you together, you may be able to take some of them on. But that's definitely a strong recommendation for your gear. Now that you understand how the gear kind of drops into different boards, I'll show you the different parts of the map. So we've already talked about the forest, which is directly to the south. Now we're going to show you where No Man's Beach is, which is probably one of the second areas you'll head to. All right, so here we are at kind of the intersection of the forest area where you start, and then what we call No Man's Land. This area, No Man's Land, is going to have some higher tier dungeons. You're going to start seeing the ice dungeons here as well. There's only 2 main biomes right now, grass or ice. Hopefully we'll get some more. What we've heard is that we're going to get a little bit more content for Silver Pass, so I'm really hoping we get a 3rd or maybe 4th type of dungeon when that happens. So yep, this is going to be another area you can start to move to once you start to get, your character's XP'd and leveled up high enough that you don't need to fight in the starter area. That being said, if you want to hang in a starter area and run a lot of dungeons really quickly, it's an easy way to get to a lot of those high-level mobs. All right, from here, we're going to head northwest. Northwest is going to take us what's just known as the Wastelands. It's kind of like a grassy area, swampy. And that's another great area to head after the forest. You don't have to necessarily head to No Man's Land. You could head over to the Wastelands, because that's pretty good area for your kind of next tier experience gaming. All right, so here we are at the Wastelands. This is the next area that you come to. You can see it's kind of in a bowl, and if you run straight through it, that's how you get to the final and the highest tier dungeons, the Ice Mountain. So as of right now, this is a great area to head to once you're done leveling in the forest and maybe the beach. And again, here you're going to see ice dungeons. So you're going to see both ice and grass. My recommendation personally is stick to the grass dungeons. Grass dungeons typically have more of those high level rolls that we want to have. So more mega clocks, more tank bugs are going to in these dungeons. And again, I think when you level your character up enough that you can run these dungeons fast, it's best to run the highest level dungeon you can run quickly. That's kind of the key to farming NFTs is you want to keep killing these mobs, keep rolling the dice, and the more rolls you get, the more opportunities you have to collect. And if you can't run the dungeon quickly, then you start to run the risk of just not rolling the dice enough times per day to get those good drops to fall. So again, for me in these levels, I really like the grass dungeons. One thing that we figured out is you can see this right behind me in the background. These little huts, these tend to always be grass. So we will normally search these out primarily, and we will always play in these dungeons right here. Kind of looks like a little hut up top. You'll see it's surrounded by wooden stakes, and we'll hop in these. And again, like they're almost always going to be grass when you get into them. Yep, so here we are. It's another grass dungeon. That's good news for us because we know grass dungeons have a higher chance of wanderers, and they have more rolls because there's more tank bugs and more mega clockies here. So this is a great one. I'm not actually going to run it. I just wanted to show it to you. And now we're going to go over to an ice dungeon, and I'm going to show you a little bit about an ice dungeon and why we really don't love running. So here's another portal. This one has a flag over the top. I have no idea what those mean. We're not all sure what they mean. We've managed to figure out that like the huts are always grass boards, and there's kind of something we do for the Icelands that I'll show you in a minute as well. But there's some that are just that rotate that don't seem to be consistently grass or ice. And again, we always try to stay away from the ice dungeons. So they see we loaded into this one. This one's an ice dungeon. And the reason we don't really like them is because not only are the missions really short, they don't tend to spawn wanderers. They can, but it's a little bit rare. And then the boss room doesn't often have enemies that drop. So traditionally, we've seen kind of low drop rates. That being said, when the grass dungeons get a little bit of slow and we don't get a drop for like an hour or two, we will come in here and we'll run these, and all of a sudden they'll seem to start dropping. So again, as much as I'd love for there to be a true method for pulling NFTs as fast as possible, the devs keep us guessing. It seems like there's probably something that they're consistently changing. You can see here, I actually got a mission here to destroy a wanderer, so we'll go kill him. And look at that. He's right in front of us. It's a tank bug, which is exactly what we wanted. Bob the Wanderer. So we lucked out. So, you know, it just goes to show you, like, there are methods that we've seen good success with, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee of where you're going to get anything in this game. So I always say rolling the dice as many times as possible is the thing that's going to lead to the highest degree of success when you're pulling NFTs. For the first 12 days of the Gold Pass, I played on average about 10 hours a day. So, you know, when you play that many hours and you're rolling the dice that many times, you start to see some trends certainly forming, but they're not consistent. You know, they're not consistent. You know, you'd see them kind of come and go. And that's where, you know, we would kind of swap things around, and my recommendation to go to different dungeons, try different things. This mission here, Eliminate Fauna, is a really annoying one. It ends up taking kind of a long time to get done. Fauna are like the little enemies that can't hurt you or do anything, and they're really difficult to find. Like, watch, we'll spend a second or two trying to find one. One pops up here, but now you kind of have to wait for another one to pop up, and a lot of times they make you backtrack through the dungeon to find them. Like, you'll notice there's no red arrows on my screen at the top now. It's meaning there's no fauna currently on the map. So if I want to find one, I have to kind of just sit and wait. Now, as me as a major gamer, like, I want to do stuff. I don't want to just be forced to sit around and wait. I see one just popped up right where I was. So like, it's kind of a weird mission. You don't end up killing a lot of enemies. You never get an NFT from this type of mission. So again, kind of one of the reasons. There's also activate switches and disarm bombs in these levels. And again, those boards don't really seem to generate anything. So that's why we don't really love the ice dungeons, because it ends up that the boss room is kind of like one of the only areas that we end up seeing enemies that have the potential to drop. So if the boss room ends up being a dud with no mega clocks and no tank bugs, then you're really out of luck, because not only have you now done the entire dungeon with no good rolls, but you're not going to get any good rolls in the boss room either. So see, I still need 2 more of those little guys, but again, there's no red arrows on top of my screen because none of them have spawned in right now. So you're kind of just stuck looking around. So you can see that this is a very lengthy mission. All right, I'm going to go ahead and find the next 2, and I'll see y'all at the boss room. So here we are outside the boss room. As we're walking up, let's take a look. We didn't get any real rolls. We got, I think, 1 wanderer. That was a tank bug, so that was cool. Now we go in here. Since I'm only 1 player, see how there's only 1 tank bug? Now, what I was explaining to you before, if you had 3 players, there'd be 2 tank bugs, and if you had at least 5 players, there would be 3 tank bugs there. That gives you 3 good rolls. So in essence, by playing with 5 people, you triple your rolls. Because the way we all see it is anytime anybody kills a tank bug, everybody gets a roll. You don't even have to be there when somebody kills it for you to be able to be the one that gets the NFT. So it's not like there's only like 1 NFT and it goes to 1 person. What I think happens is that anytime a big bug like that is killed, everybody's dice rolls, and whoever hits, it goes to them. Because we've even seen 2 or 3 NFTs come out of the same bug and go to different people. And I think that's just a matter of their roll hitting. So it's not like it's 1 NFT and you're not getting it. Like, it's not like it came out and you would have got it if those other 4 people weren't there. Your dice rolled that time too. Yours just didn't come up. So let's go kill him and see if we can get one. We're going to be leaving the Wastelands, and if you head to the east, you're going to see the ice area. There is a little shop right here. Pretty cool. You can go in here. At the end of the day, when people have been selling their goods off all day long, you can actually come down here and get some good gear. But in the beginning of the day, before people have started to sell off, you really don't see much gear at all on hand at the vendors. So yeah, it's a really cool place to come kind of at the end of the day when you've been running for a while. You can come down here, and these vendors will be full of all kinds of stuff because people just come down here from the really high tier dungeons and sell all their stuff off. So you can actually find some good stuff here occasionally. All right, so you can leave this little town and keep heading kind of southeast, and you'll notice that there is a huge area that we all know as the Ice Castle. So just like we thought, it's a grass dungeon. The first mission is going to be to find some flowers. You can get that done pretty quickly, and what your hope is that at the end of this board, you will have wanderers, and if there's no wanderers, you do get a pretty fruitful tank bug and mega clocky supply in the final boss room. They could be duds. We definitely have them happen here, but sometimes you get pretty good rolls. So let's go check out the board, and we'll see if we get wanderers, and we'll see if we get the big rolls in the boss room. Okay, so we got our second mission. Our second mission is wanderers, so let's go clear these wanderers out. Hopefully we'll get some good rolls here, and then we'll head over to the boss room. Okay, kind of like we were hoping, one of the wanderers is the big mega clocky, who we all know to be a really high dropping mob in the game. So yep, let's go ahead and kill him and see if we can get an. Well, unfortunately, as you can tell by the blood all around the screen, that last dungeon did not go so well. So that's another difficulty. When you're playing with 1 person, you have no revive option. When you die, you're instantly removed from the dungeon. If there's multiple people playing, then you have a chance to revive your friends. So another great reason why playing with a party is always the best way to play the game. So that being said, I've shown you guys all the different areas. I've shown you how to get started. I've shown you where and what enemies drop the best NFTs, which of the 2 dungeons drop them. So really at this point, you guys have everything you need to go do it all. Okay, so for one final go, we'll go over all the different things that we talked about in this video. This is kind of a summary for those of you who wanted to skip right to the end and didn't want to have to watch me suffer through all these dungeons. Here is the straight facts. The best way to run dungeons. So get in the game, get the highest tier pocket watch you can. I recommend either a tier 5 or a tier 6 pocket watch for the class you want. That is step 1. Get yourself one of those pocket watches, so that way the levels that you put into the game are going to be with you all the way through to the reset that happens after early access ends. Get the best pocket watch possible. Ask somebody else to get it for you, or go run a high level dungeon, level 50 or higher. The next thing you're going to do is level your character so you can run boards efficiently. You want to be able to run as efficiently as possible because the more enemies you kill, the more chances you get to roll the NFT dice. Okay, next one. What you want to be able to do is you want to be able to maximize the high level drop areas. The high level drop areas are going to be anywhere where you see a lot of tank bugs and a lot of mega clockies. Those are the best enemies to kill. To get the highest number of those in any dungeon, you want to have 5 players or more in your group at all times. Those are going to be your big rules for getting them done. If you follow those rules, you do this, I guarantee you can pretty much maximize your NFT drop. Get out there, get earning, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace. I'm out of here.